podcast. Monte Reyment here. I'm with my co-host, Anthony Alvarado. Anthony, what's cracking?
Not much, man. What's going on, guys? This is episode 27 of It's Your Neighbor podcast, and we can't wait to jump into this week's episode. But first, I think we do want to do a recap just real quick right here.
Let's do it.
Right here. So we talk about our previous episodes all the time, but this one was really special. The live at Stadium View.
Yeah.
You got a chance to tell the entire story of Take Action.
Yeah. I mean, not all of it, because I needed about 5 hours to just to talk about it. That's for the book. Yeah. But no, it was amazing. I mean, obviously, first off, huge shout out to Ashley and Lauren and everybody who is involved in that conference. Thank you so much. But just to be first of all invited, after 23 episodes, and when she invited us originally, we were probably at 15, maybe 10.
Exactly.
And to be able to go in, do what we did, you guys can go back and watch the podcast, but to get the feedback that we've received was really validating and awesome. And it gives me more juice to continue to do what we're doing and shine light on our neighbors. And I know same for you. Like, that's a big core value of ours is to prop and build everybody else up. Yeah.
That's what this community is all about. And I think that was really special to have a live episode about your neighbors in a community that we're literally living in, and see people come through and say, yeah, like, you're not like a typical brokerage. You guys are driving community. You're supporting nonprofits. You're going out there and doing something different. And those full circle moments were ringing loud in the room.
It was crazy. It was crazy. I had to do that. I was wearing the same shirt probably, but it was like, look at our logo in the circle.
Exactly.
And bring that stuff full circle. And again, you guys can go back and watch the episode with Ashley and mine. But that all started just by doing the right thing in a hard moment. And it was simple. It like for her, it was a very, very difficult time in her life. Yeah. But for me,
she was in need.
It was tough for me only in the fact that I had no money left.
Yeah.
But to give her the place that she needed to be in,
a safe place,
that she needed to be in without knowing anything about her or her situation, and just opening that door and allowing her to get a safe place and a breath of fresh air for her, and to be able to see what she's done with that from that moment forward.
Yeah.
And to see what she's done to catapult herself and her career and empower as many people as she's empowered since that time.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing was just, like you said, full circle, but super validating that doing the right thing at a hard time is always the right thing, even then it's not easy. So it was awesome. Like I was so great. I'm so grateful for them and obviously them being a part of Take Action now.
Yeah. I mean, Ashley becoming really cool. A new, realtor with us on this team. How exciting is that? Taking that and leveraging like what she's doing in experiences and bringing that to the home.
Yeah.
And short-term rentals is a huge goal for her. So that's really exciting. And then, just to see us go live in front of an audience. I mean, usually that doesn't happen until you're much longer into your podcast history. And to do the beginning, to your point, it's just a kind of a dream come true. So it's good to be back. It's good to share a story.
We don't have a massive amount of subscribers yet, so make sure
so make sure you subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe. But to be in front of that crowd and that audience, and even a week after, I was playing bags at a bar. Yeah. Like, in my bar league, and somebody said, "You're Monte, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "I saw you at the conference. It was amazing." I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool."
And that's like this morning, like literally before I walked in here, it wasn't even this morning, Kareen, who was in the crowd, messaged me and said, "Hey, I listened to the podcast again." Yeah. Because you just went live with the live. Yeah. And you called me out. Thank you. And also, like, you talk about full circle moments. One of the big full circle moments for me is that Ring of Fire. That song is constantly played at our home. And it is actually my grandpa's song, who I look up to.
Wait, your grandpa's Johnny Cash?
No. She said that he loved Jim Morrison. She's like, it's just a full circle moment. Can I come in and create a podcast with you? So like, it just was cool to see the response. And speaking about something cool, I think driving community here at home, of course, with our guests.
Yeah,
I'm pumped. Friend. This is Neo Medina, also a Reno, good friend of mine. Been watching this guy literally paint the city with his initiative, paint the city all over Appleton, where I call home. I lived there for the last 12 years, and there's these beautiful collaborative murals that are happening all throughout the city. And I just want to invite one of my good friends up here. Neo, how you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm really excited to be here. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast, man. It's like, it's weird when you see a muralist. You're like, You never really meet the muralists in person.
No,
we're like unicorns, bro.
Right? You might see you hanging outside for 17 hours, but we just kind of wave.
We don't know what that looks like. Your backs to everybody. While you're just putting stuff
They can
up.
talk. What?
Sometimes I'll pull up when you're doing a mural. You don't even say much, just kind of, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So tell us about what you're doing. I mean, you literally have, I've read the stories. I know your story too, but you literally have turned your life around from Sheboygan, doing some things that maybe were learning opportunities.
Yeah.
And coming and bouncing back. Kind of, to me, it's like a story of recovery. It's a story of redemption. To come where you come from and use art as a platform to make good today from where you come from. It's really powerful, man. So can you share a little bit of that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And, I just think you're kind of like talking about the circle. And so a lot of what I talk about, I work a lot with youth, but also adults, but I talk a lot about cycles and how repetitive they are. And so I come from cycles of trauma and crime and poverty. And so when you're in that, it's so hard to break out.
Yeah.
And so come 18, 19, being a young man with not much guidance, I was following the same suit, got myself in some real trouble, but also got to college. And that was largely part because of my mom, single mom. And she always said, nobody ever told me I could go to college, so I'm telling you. And so she made us read books. I remember that, just little things that they might seem trivial, but like to a young man with nothing, like they meant a lot. And so I made it to college, but really quickly got kicked out for getting in some pretty serious trouble with the law. And then really it was like when I found out I was having a kid, and my closest brother, Emilio, he looked at me in the eye and he's like, so what are you going to be, just like our dad? And like, that was my moment. It's not like life was perfect after that. Like I still made mistakes along the way, but it really helped me think more about what I was doing. So at the time in college, they told me I would never be allowed to work with kids. So there goes the art teacher dream. And I tried my hand at graphic design, and I could not sit in front of a computer. And so I was like, I'm just going to try to be an artist. And so art was like where I found my first voice. I started making art about being third generation Mexican American, growing up in Sheboygan, having brown skin, but also somewhat being detached from the culture and finding my own identity. And then all of a sudden people were listening to what I had to say. And when I say what I had to say, like what I was making art about. And I was like, I love this. Like it just felt like a voice. And now like fast forward, I'm trying to give that platform to other people, maybe in specific the youth, because I just feel like they are our future. And if we're not building a space and place for them, then what are we doing, And then also just having moved through the education system and the judicial system, it's like, how do I save people from going to jail as I did? And it's not like I'm saving everybody I talk to, but, if there's a kid once a year that listens to me and hears where I come from and is like, oh, if he can make it, and his mistakes didn't define who he was, then maybe I can too.
Yeah. That's the truth.
And so that's like art to me. It feels like this little renaissance, like back when the masters were telling society how to like think and like what we should be striving for. Like it feels like we're conducting that, but then these kids are the masters and they're the ones like reframing how people think about each other and the relationships. And just really finding humanity in each other. It's so important to me because, you guys know, you turn on the interwebs and it's just chaos and terrible and it's hateful.
Go on the For You on Twitter and it's like, oh my God.
It's insane.
Like, that's not for me.
And it's just like finding common ground and being respectful and difference of opinion, and also finding love in each and every one of us is so important to me. And so, art is my platform. Art is my vehicle. That's the gift that I was given. So that's what I'm trying to do.
You mentioned something really cool there, because I think this is a big, especially with my generation and the older generation, is to commonly demonize the youth, right? Like, I think that's one that's squashing youth. Like kids, and they're the next trend, right? They're the next ones come up. We like as an artist, you had like if you're gonna make money or you're going to empower youth, you have to go to their level, right? Like in a lot of cases, every generation has the lazy kids and they have all that. They've been saying that forever. They'll make kids like they used to.
Right.
Well, yes, they do. Every kid's been born the same way for the last 200,000 years. But well, I love that you just said that, like, they're humanizing and that they're doing that back, because that's the way I see young people as well. And I don't see it as like they changed or, you know, they don't make kids the same way they don't anymore. And I'm kind of grateful in a way. You know, because I'm not looking down on kids. I'm trying to understand why a kid is the way they are, you know, and they can still be molded. The older you get, once you get to our age, you know,
it's a little bit harder.
It's tough. I mean, that's why we have mental health coaches that come in and speak to us on a weekly basis, is because we have a lot of stuff that we have to unpack from our past. If we can just empower them early on, we don't have those same issues. So with that being said, you know, talk a little bit about your initiative of, you know, reaching out to the youth and empowering those kids to be artists and to follow in those footsteps that you've created.
Yeah. So Paint the City, it's something I've been saying since I started painting in Appleton. Like, since my first mural, I was like, paint the city. And that was just like a dream, right? Like, I just want to paint everything. And then I began working with youth, and then like the initiative itself came from, I was just in a school walking down like a corridor, like in the office, and they had all of the honor society pictures up like year after year after year. And there was like, in all the pictures, there's like maybe 1 or 2 people that look like me the whole time. And I'm just like, dude, like, how do I create something the reverse of this? And so Paint the City was born, and in part it's to help young artists. And so I would say about 50% of the kids that participate are like artists, are really interested in art, engaged in art. The other 50% are kids who just really, really need connection and really need to do something positive. I think Paint the City exists as like, for some of these kids, like, this is the only thing they've done in 12 years through school that like people noticed, people celebrated, people uplifted them for. And it's such a powerful moment. And I'm so honored to be like carrying the torch for that.
Right.
You know, because like when their parents come and there's tears and like everybody's so happy and so proud, it's like I just feel incredibly lucky to be able to help build that for them.
And maybe you touched on this already, but what was that like moment for you that was like, I got to do this, I got to start this?
Yeah, so I think, you know, I don't know if there's like necessarily a moment. I've always known that I liked working with kids. I was told I would never be able to, so I was painting murals. Like, I eventually,
a little chip on your shoulder.
Okay, all right.
Tell me I can't do something
similar to, and also this guy. So.
Yeah, and so like I just kept pushing and pushing, and you know, I think the education system is also in this period of like trying to figure out, because traditional isn't working.
It doesn't work.
And so like one of it is a representation, and so I like wormed my way in there, and then I never left, you know, and so it's all these different moments, and then also like pivotal moments of chaos. Like I went through a really big moment in Menasha and their school district, and it like really harmed kids and myself. But when I bounced back from that, I went to therapy, and I came back from that just so strong in that I will never let anybody hurt kids again, and just like let it go by the wayside. And it just like reaffirmed who I was as an advocate and as a person who builds platforms for youth. So it's like all these different moments, and then you know, Paint the City was born, and I think because I'd been painting for maybe 5-6 years before that, people also believed in just my work. So it was like a combination of all these pieces coming together at the right time. And then Appleton School District got Mike Hernandez, assistant superintendent of the high school level. Super dope, dude. Yeah, you guys should have him on here. Honestly, he's cool. Fire. And then Greg Harchis, the superintendent, and like those are some of the first people in like with some real power that just like wholeheartedly believe in me and support me. It's like different to be like, yeah, good job, versus like, great job. What do you need, and how can I continue to uplift you? Because what you're doing is working for everybody.
Yeah,
and so that's like all of that. The culmination of all of it just keeps propelling me and keeps me pushing.
That's what community's all about, right there.
Yeah, that's our core value right there.
Exactly.
Like, how can we help?
How can we help? How can we show up? How can we be with you for life? Because we live here for life.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? And part of that is lifting up our next generation, either from our team members to like even the events that we've had. Yeah. How many children have come through and just hung out and been a part of something?
That's that's my past. I know I talked to my past thing, but my job was to help student athletes go to college. And that was for 10 years. I spoke to 10,000 kids plus at events all over the country about recruiting and reality, really. So, you know, not every kid is going to be the D1 kid. So it's like, are you going to college for the right reasons, or are you going to college because you feel like you need to play a sport to be on a pedestal kind of thing? Is that the right decision for you? So there's a lot of that stuff that I went through. So I basically became a life coach for 10 years for kids, an advocate for kids. But also sometimes it was like, dude, you didn't go to school last semester and you want to go to college and play football.
Accountability. And boundaries.
This isn't going to work. Like reality is telling me there isn't a college program in the country that's going to allow you to play. So those are the kinds of things. So you and I are vibing in a different way because I don't have an artistic bone in my body. Ask my wife. She'll laugh about some of the pictures we paint together, but somehow it always ends up being like a weird, awkward Jesus or something whenever I paint. But
you're gonna have to bring some of those in.
Yeah, we'll just have me paint that on the wall when we do the wall mural. That'll be my spot. It'll be really small, but it'll be there.
It's a private little mural.
It's like, so a lot of what I do is for the kids, but like paint the city, just to kind of get back to that, like another layer of that. So I create this sign up genius, and I'll make sure to share it with you guys in case you want to make the trek down. But you can sign up for like an hour, 2 hour, whatever time slots to paint with these kids.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's also to create learning for adults in our community, for people. I'm Mexican. I spent 5 years actually, working for a program called STAR, which serves Black students. And I learned so much from working with them, both about similarities, but differences. And so it's like, how do I create a little microcosm of like that space where we can learn from each other, like in a really authentic way? Because like, I always say this, like when we're painting, it just erases all the lines between each other.
You blend the community.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's just a really great experience. And my hope is, so there's a thing with the kids, but it's also for when adults come in and they might step in with some biases or, a crazy grandma or crazy uncle, whatever it is. And then they step away and then they're raising their kids and they're like, but wait, I had this really amazing experience with like all these Latino kids, all these Black kids, these Asian kids or whatever. And actually what we're seeing here isn't true. Like, because I know because I worked with them. And then all of a sudden these like conversations are occurring. And my hope is chess game, 10 years down the road, we have really shifted some conversations around who people are, long game.
And I also think you said that in the senses of who you are as an artist, as your individual representation, being present in a community that doesn't predominantly look like you. So talking about race and equity standpoint, like not only accessibility to platforms, but also just being represented in community and being accepted in community. And as people pull up and see you as a Latino doing paint, maybe their perception around Latinos changed just through the art itself. Or a conversation just from rolling up can change a mindset that could change into something that has probably not been expected, the unforeseen benefits of the work that you're doing, right?
Right.
Can you give any testimonies or any specific stories that stick out to you today?
Just like in terms of being Latino, I think, there's been some hardships for sure. Like in terms of painting in the streets, like here in Green Bay specifically. But there's also been some like really awesome stuff that has happened. Like I've made some really like lifelong friends just from people just passing by, walking by. And then like, I also always do like, I'm always like, how you doing? No matter like who's passing by, I hear footsteps. How you doing? You know what I mean? And then sometimes it's nothing. And sometimes it's like great conversations. And then next thing you know, like I have somebody coming back, my homie, John Nance, John Nance, like I met him just shuffling through the streets and then all of a sudden we talk and
he's badass.
He's amazing. And so it's like things like that where it's just like, it creates friendships. And then again, like it just reframes ideas of who people are and then builds webs of support. I'm grateful that I have a giant web of support through
I see people
family.
giving you love all the time lately. All the time.
Well, you should, man. I mean, it's amazing.
Like just all these huge stakeholders and people that have, like you said, the ability to make decisions and come alongside you to support you is huge. I know how difficult that can be, like especially when you're trying to give young people a voice and do something different that maybe hasn't been seen before, right? So I applaud you for all that work, man.
What was it about murals? Like, why'd you choose murals?
So
besides the fact that they're awesome.
So when I was young, my dad, he was from a family of migrant workers. So he moved around the States and he lived a long time in Chicago during the 80s. So it's like the heyday of gang warfare, also heyday of like early graffiti. And I always remember he was drawing graffiti and stuff. And so that really interested me. And then just like skate culture. So like those things were always interested me more like that, like accessibility. Like that was accessible to us. Skate culture accessible to us. Everything under the deck Like, that was badass to me. And so, you know, that's where my interest came from. And then when I got to college, I actually was ready to drop out because, like, there's a lot of talent there, number one, which is very intimidating. And I think I'm talented, but I work really, really hard to learn things where some people are very naturally gifted. Shout out to my wife. She's got so much talent. It's annoying almost. She's working on a drawing right now of a fishbowl and it looks like a picture. And I'm like, dude, you're drawing this with chalk.
Her drawings are so good.
What the hell? Right? You know? But like Sheboygan, the John Michael Kohler Art Center, they had this 2-year thing where they brought in street artists from around the nation. And I got to work alongside an artist named Gabriel Spector and Chris Stain. And they're just like old heads. And, you know, they just kick game to me for like a week at a time. And I remember Gabriel Spector said, like, if you want to drop out of art school, drop out of art school. Like, that's not going to make or break you as an artist. What makes or break you is, like, how much do you work? He's like, what you need to do is just do whatever you want to do and do so much of it that nobody can deny your work ethic.
And
so that's like,
feel that too.
Take action. Let's go.
And so that's how, you know, I like kind of came up with that. And then I got a mentor along the way too named Josh Marquardt. He's out in Oshkosh.
He does
Josh is great. Raps. Yeah, that's the homie for real. That's big homie.
Dude, he's an OG.
Yeah. He took me under his wing when I got in trouble.
The work that he's doing with raps and everything else, doing vinyls and all that.
Yeah, but he really just taught me how to work. That man grinds for real, you know. And I remember when I was there, we was doing.
Was it Art City?
Yep. Yeah. We were downtown when I started, and we were doing like these little like stickers and stuff. And I remember he was just getting irritated with having to do stickers. And he's like, I'm not gonna do this forever. I just want to do like car wraps or like big stuff. And then, you know, fast forward almost a decade later, maybe more, he's doing Super Bowl year after year. He's rapping the whole city Super Bowl every year, and I'm just like, stuff. Man. Super dope, but you know, he just taught me how to work and how to grind, and it's like, you know, that's what I like put into everything I'm doing is like 100,000%, and then part of it is for myself, for like my kids can see how to work hard because I didn't have that. Like,
you have kids, you have a whole family, three of them, man. I'm trying to build something for them, trying to teach them something that they can take with them, but then also, you know, for the kids that I'm working alongside too, like you want something like. You have to grind like this, and especially if you're already 10 rungs down the ladder, you gotta work hard as hell. And when somebody knocks you down, because they're gonna knock you down, you get back up and you keep grinding. Face down in the arena.
Yes. So you know, those are really important life lessons that unfortunately that a lot of us don't get taught. You know, like just that resilience piece, and you know, it's also, you know, it's not that mental fortitude is it's hard, man. I'm not gonna lie. You know, when you coming from trauma or poverty, it's hard to see. That light. It's hard to make it through. I'm really fortunate. Like I had Josh Marquardt. I had people along the way. Without them people, I'm not making it. I'm not here, you know. So
I mean, the amount of hope that somebody else can give you, the support that somebody come alongside you. I'll never forget the people that believed in me. Even when we did the live, I thanked Monty just for believing me and to be able to be here and to create and to come alongside and help build something, right? And we believe we're doing something special and we're doing something different. And that takes risks. And there's sleepless nights, which we said a bunch on this show. And it sounds like you resonate with that, right? I mean, you all not only, like, those are the things that people don't talk about, though. And those are the things that we're not really teaching our youth either, is like how to fail, how to show up again, how to get back up again.
Know that it's okay to
fail. How to ask for help when no matter what the situation is. So.
It's such a critical part of the journey, failure. So this is my second year taking on an intern. I wanted to bring him, but he's got to work.
Yeah, that's right.
His name's Jonathan Sorolla, just a young artist, senior this year. But he, you know, just teaching them like, you make a mistake. You know, an artist told me once, you got to make 1,000 bad pieces just to get one good one. You know, that's like the type of drive, you know, that Kanye West drive. Like he's an asshole as a person, but as a creative, he's a genius. You know, and it's like, that's the type of like, stuff you got to get into. You got to push deep and then deeper.
I mean, a lot of people talking about music like trash all over Eminem, especially on his bounce back. He's too old, whatever the case may be. But that guy works around the clock, and he's constantly looking at other creators, even the younger generation, learning and tooling with that idea of just telling story. And so, can you talk a little bit more about, you know, maybe how important art is to the community? And the reason why I want to go in this direction, because I got an opportunity to host a public event down in Oshkosh, and a lot of the focus around that event was around public art. And I learned there that with like Drew and the rest of the crew down there, that like,
Drew.
Look, Wisconsin has one of the lowest investments when it comes to public art and it is so significantly low that it's probably the lowest in the country, and by for certain the lowest by like 40 to 60% of our neighboring states invest in public art because they believe in it, and Wisconsin doesn't as much.
Right.
Not even close. Can you maybe hit on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean,
and that's a big topic. We could do a whole other podcast. You know what I mean? But I know it was so important, and I saw a group of people come together and go, oh, there's a thing we could maybe get behind. And so we are in a renaissance period. We're going into that. So
I look at it as opportunity, though.
It's opportunity.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think, one thing that I've noticed with art, like since like when I really started to want to do this in those early college days, is like, this is all, I knew it was going to trickle down from Art Basel to what's going on in Brooklyn, like all those huge mural projects. I was like, it's just a matter before it starts making its way this way. But, it's just, I just think like there's like this belief that artists aren't worth the time or the dollar, like the investment. Like I just had a conversation with the artist I was working with in La Crosse. His name is Chase. And just about the mural game, at least out here, and just like being confident in your price. And like, that's such a hard thing to do, especially like, because people like have their specific view of what art is here. Like, like I think in terms of creativity, we're conservative, like our scope of like what art can be. And like, it has to be so literal and can't be conceptual. It can't even like Chase's style. I love his style. It's very illustrative. There's like black and white buildings with pops of color, you know what I mean? And it's like, this is super dope. Yeah. And we should have this out here. Yep. But like in order to build up to that, like we had to go through all these different iterations of what art is, like that's to me has been one of the biggest challenges as a creative, because like so many times where people are like, can you paint this history of the town mural? No disrespect to people who do that, but that's not, don't call me for that. Yeah. That's not my, like, I don't pay history of the town. I don't, you know what I mean? And like, well, or when I'm painting and they're like, well, what is this? This doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like having a broader perspective, and then what art does for those places. Like I think about the mural we just played in La Crosse, and there's this guy, I forget his name, but he worked at the distillery, like kitty corner. Okay. And he would come by after the night, after his shift, and he'd just check it out. And then he came by on Thursday night with his coworkers, and by that time, 3rd Street in La Crosse is more alive than Monday night. And I was like, yo, this street is busy. Like, there's plenty of people out here. And he's like, oh, dude, like, this school hasn't even started. Like, this is going to be the thing. This is where people are coming now for coffee, because it's right across the street from, like, or a parking lot from a coffee spot.
Downtown there, little area. Yeah.
And, like, this is where people are taking their pictures. Like, this is the mural. And then subsequently, so many people have hit me up or said just via post, like, this is the best mural in La Crosse to date. Yes. And I'm like super pumped, super proud of my wife Valerie, of me, of Chase, the homie out there painting. And it's just like, yeah, that's what we need. Like, we need to keep pushing, keep going. And I think it's building momentum. I think it's hopefully going in the right direction. Like, I can't complain too much because Appleton specifically has taken such good care of me.
Huge change in Appleton too around the arts. It's unbelievable. The timing, like you guys lined up perfectly.
Yeah, for real, man. I'm like 20 deep in Appleton right now, and I'm at 3 more downtown.
It's insane. I mean, and even some of them are getting taken down now. Yeah, I saw the one in the alleyway. Yeah, is going down.
Sad, man. I talked.
I didn't even realize that one was yours across from the
that was
other
one of my early. Isn't it crazy? Like
you see, like this kind of pretty. Like you talk about growth and development. Yeah, dude. You see this like it's a good mural. And I'm taking some pictures in front of it with like my daughter and her friends and stuff, and I'll show you them to you after this. And it's great, you know. Yeah. But you look at the mural right across from it, which is also his. Like you can almost touch both of them in the alleyway.
Oh, no way.
And you can drive a car through, but either way,
you wouldn't think they're by the same.
You wouldn't think they're by the same.
Really? You just
it's so.
Yeah, I've gotten so much better. So much, like in the span of 6-7 years. And shout out to my wife, honestly, because I'll be thinking I'm done. I'll send her a picture and I'll say critique me, and she'll give me the hardest critique ever, and I'm like, oh, damn it. But it always works out, man.
Hey, yes. You wouldn't be sending that text if you didn't think that she was going to make it better.
She's a genius. She's very intuitive as an artist, and so it's just we were just painting in La Crosse, and that was the first time where we were ever consecutive days, day after day, 15-hour days together, and it's just like this trust. Like I don't have that with anybody else. Like she's like, I'm gonna go do this. All right, go do that. Yeah. And what do I need to do here? Do this, push this here. You know, like we just feed off each other, and then 12 hours go by like that, and we just look up and we're like, shit, we just killed that, man. You know, so yeah. The creativity world, all that to say here, I can't complain too much because I've been taken such good care of, but I've also had a lot of doors closed in my face. Yeah. I also think there is this problem, and maybe it's just in my mind, that folks like in different spaces want to be so hyper local. Like even out in lacrosse, I had a couple people push back like, well, I'm surprised they didn't just stick with lacrosse based artists. And it's like, I get that in a sense. But also like as an artist, I like even with Chase, like we want to be called somewhere else. Like that's part of the dream, like to make it out the hometown, you know what I mean? Like,
of course.
And so like, I think people just say so hyper local and it's like, I want people to come to Appleton. Yeah. Because otherwise it's boring. Yeah. You know what I mean? I told Chase, I was like, I'm working on something for you right now because I want that. Yeah. You don't get, once you leave art school, there's no more like regular community.
Well, do you think you think that's part of, I think that's part of growth when you get somebody from out of the area. Like we have a good friend of mine who is, you know, at a very well-known social media company that's way high up who's here working with our team this week. She's from Austin, right? Like she's in our building because we're local Green Bay people. We can only grow so much, and then we still need outside
sources and perspectives and insights and talent, right? Yeah. And other artists being able to benefit from that and share in that creative space. And it was one of the things that we talked about. You know, we've wanted to kick off a couple different mural projects, and one of these days we're going to get it done. Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about a mural here. So, you know, if somebody was listening right now, they're like, man, I'm in a community. I have a thing. I want to get a mural done. How does that process even work?
For me specifically, I mean, usually it's just a message, you know, usually I think I do most of my operations through Instagram and then I come out, with lacrosse, I didn't even come out. Like I just had them send me a measurement and it's straight on as a picture. And then we just did everything virtually. Like when I showed up to paint, that was my first time ever there.
That's cool.
You said the wall was bigger.
No, I thought it was longer. So I was like, oh, we good. I'm good.
And you get there, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. It was taller, but longer. I thought it would have been longer. So I was a little worried, but like it's just correspondence. And then if I'm in the area, I'll come by. Otherwise, you know, technology solves everything.
How long does it take you to do a big, like a building, like the side of a building?
It really, like
let's say it's like a, I don't know, 40 foot by 40 foot wall.
Yeah, like a week or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I also tend to work differently. So I work like 15, 16, 17 hours straight, go home, sleep, do it again.
You got that marathon body, huh?
Yes, man. Look, my knee's done.
Just in it.
My knee's toast. That's getting replaced soon, I bet. I tore my meniscus painting like 3 years ago, and now it's just like my knee's just effed. Yeah, for real.
I just tore it. Would you play sports? Nah, I was painting up on the wall.
Yeah, just stepped out of a lift.
I was just painting.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like, you know, I try to go hard. I think the longest I've spent is like 2.5 weeks, and that was at Appleton East. But that's usually when people give me a playground. So when somebody says like, "Do your thing,"
and that was a portrait-based playground, right?
Yeah, and I just like can't contain myself.
4 to 5 students from East.
Yep.
And I see guys pulling up there with cars all the time. Like when I was in the car community, anybody with wheels would pull up to your murals, especially there because it's easy to pull up on.
Yeah.
And,
well, you got vibrant stuff too. So it's like,
vibrant. That contrast with like the car or something.
That's my all-time favorite one, the one at East. Yeah. Because that was just like, they just gave me a space, like I said, to play, you know, and like it took a long time because I was working a lot of things out. But yeah, that one was like fire. Taught me how to do large-scale portraits like that. That I've incorporated, you know, down the road. And this one I just did in lacrosse is like, that's the lane I want to really, really be into out here. And so once you get whoever's listening, if you guys start seeing that, like that's where I want to be. Like that was so much fun and that was massive. Yeah. I didn't think it was that big until like someone said, this is big. And I looked up, I'm like, you're right. This is a giant mural.
That's cool. Yeah. So if you had it your way, if there's like the biggest, like what is that thing that keeps you up at night? Like I want to do that thing in art. What is it?
I want to paint the 222 building.
I knew it.
Shout out to US Venture, bro.
Let's go. Yeah, dude, we know some people over at US Venture too. You know,
I want to touch the skyline, man. Like I see that building. You can see it anywhere.
Because me and Chad Brady, we wanted to do the jail.
Oh, word?
Yeah, we wanted to do Rise Together on the side of the jail.
Yeah.
So when it looks over to the park, you would see those two hands coming together. But we pitched it to the city and the mayor said, the mayor loved it.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard to pull off that big of a project.
Yeah, and I feel like you gotta
there's politics involved. Yeah.
I'm painting the side of their parking garage, the police department parking garage.
Okay.
The 10-year plan is
that's a step.
Working away all the way up.
So 222 building. It's like the building in Appleton.
Yeah.
It's like you can't, that's the building that you see. It's the only one that hits the skyline.
Yep.
So that would be sweet.
That building I guess there's like right in the area. So there's the 222 building. Backside is the AT&T building with no windows at all.
Oh, yeah.
Which is crazy to me. That big of a building. It's like a cube with no windows.
You should probably get that clean wall on the other side of Apollon.
Yeah. There's that.
Yeah.
But also like if you're at the library and you're facing the mayor's office, that big giant white wall with just 2 small windows in it, that wall is also a dream wall.
From the Misfits mural across there, that little corner building.
Yep.
It's up for sale.
Yeah.
Holtz has it. That building needs to be painted.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there. All right, cool.
He's looking for some projects.
So one thing I want to leave with is just as we kind of start getting out of this episode is,
hey, wait a minute.
Like, I know.
Okay.
I got it. I just want to make sure we hit just one thing, because you talked about the challenges of community development. And you talked about and that include a bunch of stuff. You and your own mindset and accomplishing things from places that were a little bit difficult. Growing up to accomplishing, not just going to school, but becoming an artist and using that platform, making an influence, race, quality, pushback, the idea of art, all these are challenges, and you've been able to overcome them consistently. But you also said it needs to take hard work. And so within that, like, how are you taking care of yourself in that hard work today?
Man, look,
17 hours. He's getting 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's not a good way to take care of yourself.
That has been.
He's at my knee shot. He's like, why would you ask me that question?
That has been a learning process. Like I had my homie Sherman, who was living in Appleton for a while. He just moved up to Green Bay this year, but he was out there with me when I was painting. He would just kick it, but he would be like, "Nah, time to go home." We don't need to do this. Like, it was good to have him in my ear and help me build that in myself. Because otherwise, I would just work myself into oblivion.
The work will be there tomorrow, right?
Yes, that, and then also just like my wife, she holds me accountable, and that's really important. I think that's one thing I'm learning about marriage is just like accountability and like what that looks like. My whole life, I just had this conversation with her. Like my whole life, all I felt like I had to do was just like push through everything all the time. And like you get kind of stuck in that mode where you just keep pushing.
Oh yeah.
And so then when, she tells me like, no, like we need you here. The family needs you here. And my kids are getting older now. They need me there. They vocalize that they need me. And that really helps put things in so many different layers of what I do into perspective. Just like taking time off, making sure that I try to come home at night and like, because I used to spend just weeks away.
I know. I think when I saw you at Target last, it was you and your wife doing shopping. You were like just getting off vacation or getting ready to go on vacation or something. Yeah. So I see you out there. Actually taking breaks, not always working.
Yeah. Family is just a really good reminder of what's important, and like kids especially, and like, spending time with my wife in the summer because we're both busy people. She's working for the Trout, and just like those reminders of like the little things, like even just chilling in the backyard, man, like it just means a lot. Yeah. And so trying to make sure that I'm doing that.
That was good.
Just hanging out with your brother.
That was cool. That was a good day. It was a good day.
You ready?
I'm always ready.
All right, let's get it. So this is the part where we flip it around, where us as hosts become the guests and you become the host. And so you can ask any questions that you want.
We like to surprise you.
We want to surprise you. So you let us know anything you want to know about real estate, anything you want to know about community, what we're doing here at Take Action, or obviously us.
Yeah. I guess, well, where are you guys both from? That's one question.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Reyment, and I live in Appleton. And so now I work up here in Green Bay.
And I grew up 15 minutes from here, Pulaski.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So literally like local. Oh,
I'm local.
Whole life I've
local legend.
Yeah.
We'll hold off on the legend part for now. But
I guess, and we were kind of talking about it a little bit before the show, just like doing things differently and like just being here for this conversation, and then just like thinking about how you guys are opening up spaces for people to talk about what they're doing. Like, why the investment in community? Like, there's so many people in your position not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing, our job is to buy and sell houses, right? Like on the very basic level as being a real estate agent or a brokerage, in order to make money, you have to buy and sell houses. But I feel like any business that operates genuinely and is in that community, and there's a transfer of money or value or whatever it is, you should be giving that value first. So I always wanted to create something that was just that. Like, how can I make an impact? How can I leave a legacy without like asking for money, right? Like all the time. I want to provide value for as much as I can. And that philosophy is what I took from the day I started as a real estate agent. You know, I started with, there was a concept, Gary Vee always comes out with these concepts. You know, it's like give, and expect nothing in return. And in return, you'll get it back tenfold. And I really trusted that. It fits me personally because then I don't feel like a charlatan. You don't have to worry about commission breath in real estate where
it's the money grab.
I'm solely reliant on money. I'm not a huge money driven person, contrary to what it is. It's like, if I leave a lot of money on the table a lot of times because it feels icky. And I'm okay with walking away from large sums of money. I've proven that probably too much in the last year, but it's about the value, right? Yeah. It's like, what can I provide? How can I make an impact? How can I empower others to reach their potential? And that's really my biggest driver is I love watching others succeed. So this is my driving force and why, we're at the essence of Take Action, and I'm super competitive. So I want to be the best, and I have to be different in order to be the best. Otherwise, I just fall in line with every other brokerage that's out there, do the things that they do, and I would just, be there. But in order to be the best, you have to be different.
Yeah. And, for me, from a marketing perspective, I look at, being a teacher, an educator for so many years in the senses of like going out and teaching something, to come in and just listen to this space and listen to the team and listen to the realtors. And just like I did for the last 10 years with young people, hear their voice and hear their story and understand them. And my job as a creative and orator is to get that information back out into the world. That's why I love marketing. It's not that I went to school for it, sure, but the real reason is because I think at the core of it allows me to dive deeper into the meaning of conversation, into the meaning of community and home. And coming from places that we've come from, while my story is different, there's a lot of similarities that I could have said, hey, me too, right? When you were sharing earlier. And that is coming from places where we didn't have as much during certain periods of our life, or, half of my family is Hispanic, and I can resonate with some of those similar challenges, trying to just make it all the time, right? And just kind of creating this whole lifestyle around just the hard work. And I literally have struggle tattooed on my neck, you know what I mean? But I've also had to kind of step away from that a little bit and take a look at what does home mean to me today? And now that conversation is transcending in everything we do, including this podcast. And I figure if we can highlight the stories of what makes this place really special to live, well, then that's all the better for the community, right?
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Can I ask one more question?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Cool. Oh, yeah. If you had to like talk to your younger self and give yourself like one gem of advice, like one of your greatest learnings that you have now, what would it be?
Ooh. I got one.
Yeah, go.
Ignore the noise. Like, I was always so worried up until I was probably 35 to 38 years old. I'm 44 now, but I was always worried about what everybody else thought of me. And when I let that go, I was a whole different human being. Like, I got my health in order. I eventually quit drinking. Like, Wisconsin is a huge drinking culture. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed my time.
Yeah, same.
For real, I did.
So much so that I can't drink.
Well, I mean, I could, for real. I quit before I got a rock bottom. Like, I hear people hitting rock bottom moments. I stopped because, my grandparents, had problems. My parents didn't really do it around us at all when we were younger. We drank more with them when we got older, but it wasn't like our family culture. It was just my friends' culture. And being in the field that I'm in, I became a socialholic, right? Like, I was out as a realtor and a broker. You have events all the time. And so I'd be at an event 3 days a week getting drunk. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, those are friend time, right? Then you're drinking again. So 5-6 days a week I was drinking, and finally my body just got tired. I listened to it and ended that part of it. So I would have told myself probably like give up the sauce and ignore the noise. And I'd be further along, but everything happens at the time it's supposed to happen.
Exactly.
So I'm grateful for the timing of it. I've had some great mentors throughout the years that have led me to this point. I've had great partners, and it's been awesome. So that's my advice. Just ignore the noise.
I love that. We talk about so much of getting in that comparison trap, especially on this show, and how difficult that can be, for people to see what's going online and then think like, oh, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
Right. And so we probably can resonate with that as creatives, right? And you talk about pattern recognition, like that is all that's in my mind. I mull things out, I detail it out, I build things, I create things, and I love it. And I love to teach people how to do it, But the advice that I would give my younger self is don't quit. Don't quit on you. Don't quit on what you believe in, those dreams that you have. Don't quit when it gets hard. Don't quit when you feel like giving up. Don't quit when you fall down. Don't quit when you get your ass kicked. Don't quit when you feel like you're going to give up, because it's in those moments, especially personally and in business, when we feel like giving up, when we can hold on to that moment and yes, sometimes show up messy, tired, and exhausted, but not giving up on living a life that's worth living is my advice.
That's those growth moments that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Like you get through failure.
I mean, come on.
You can get through failure and not quit.
Yeah.
You grew.
If I would have quit, I would not be sitting in this room right now. Do you know every week when I go downstairs, I see a drawing in marker on my marker board downstairs from years ago. Not that far after losing a child, which I talk about on this show all the time. Dark moment for me. You know this story. That's how we kind of connected over the last couple of years. I thank you for your support and reaching out, and just showing that love. But it was in those moments of drawing, like in those dark moments of like just working through all those emotions and all that mess and all the stuff and all the like, wow, as a father, I failed. My job was to protect as a dad, and I did not do that. And so in those moments, I think about the moments I wanted to give up, but yet I was still etching out dreams. And downstairs, there is a drawing with 2 chairs, 2 mics in a podcast room. And today I'm sitting in a podcast room with 2 mics, 2 chairs, just finding my voice again.
Yeah.
Because I didn't give up.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty powerful, because I see the 3 of us telling a similar story, that we didn't give up on ourselves. And that is what's making it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Resilience, man.
Hell yeah.
And community.
Yes.
And community,
Yes.
like I don't think I underscored that or said that enough through what I was saying. So just really big shout out to everybody along the way. Like I mentioned some specific people, but it's like over the years, there's been so many people, like so many different organizations, just like reaching out, saying congrats, supporting, doing what they can to make things happen, helping move pieces. And as much as like I'd like to be like, yeah, I did this all on my own. There's no way in hell. There's no way in hell.
Right.
No way. That's it. That's that talent you were talking about.
Right, exactly.
You had the hard work path where you needed other people to help you. The talent people, they can just go out and do it.
But that's why I appreciate what y'all are doing, and I love like that full circle thing, because it's like, it just takes a village to raise a child. And even though I'm 33, I'm still a child in a way, like I'm still figuring it out.
It takes a village to raise a man, a woman, families. I mean, it really does. It does.
So,
like we can joke about that, but it really, like we always say it takes a village to raise a kid. But that kid has to turn into a man. So for me, it's like you, or a woman, so you need that village to raise a man and a woman to be the type of man and woman you want in that village.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I'm being raised by like just a group of people I'm hanging out with here at work.
Right, dude. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Our people are great.
We want to thank all of our people. I know we have said a lot on this show, and we love to tap into this conversation more with you. We hope you get an opportunity to come back up and do a mirror with us.
That'd be
and obviously
amazing.
hang out or whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
And when I see you in Appleton, maybe we can come down and help out too.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, let us know, dude. I mean, like I said, I got one brush stroke. That's it.
Hey, man.
I won't ruin that wall. But
It's just, all right, I got some on there.
It's a good time.
Hold my hand.
Yeah, the kids will teach you, man. They'll teach you. Yeah,
that's right.
It's a good time.
So just real simple stuff. I know you mentioned it before. Where can we find you? How can we get a hold of you? How does that work?
Yeah, best way is Instagram. So you can search up Neo Medina, NeoMedina. Handle is at _I.M.art_
I am art.
Yes, sir. And yeah, so that's probably the best way. Paint the City's happening August 5th through 16th at the YMCA in downtown Appleton. We're going to be right behind there in the tunnel. So if you're around that area, stop out.
That's where it's
that's where it's going to be. And then there will be a Sign Up Genius. I'll make sure to send that to you guys, but it'll also be on my Instagram. So if you want to come paint, which y'all should. It's
we'll
a lot
link
of
it in the
fun.
episode too. And the team, for
yeah,
sure.
you get to hang out with the kids, you know, and I just empower them to do the teaching. So it's really, it's nice to watch them really find their groove. So come on and see what's up.
Maybe we can borrow that limo.
Yeah, let's get the limo. We had a limo here earlier today. It was ridiculous. Yeah, a team showed up in a limo.
My brother's company brought a limo to the cookout today.
That's how they showed up in style. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. This is episode whatever we're on.
27.
No, I'm just kidding.
27.
It's episode 27.
Thanks, Neo, man.
With
that was
Neo
great.
Medina from Paint the City. Thank you so much for being on the show.
That got deeper than I thought. That was great.
That was great.
Awesome.
All right, we're doing the right thing. Thank you, guys. Take it easy.